Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that will help you to unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart led experts and I ask the questions that I know you're already thinking about. And we explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and that help you to show up fully in life. And today we're going to explore the topic of banishing burnout to reclaim your life. And this conversation is worth your while because the stress so many of us are carrying, it's like your normal pace of life. That is not good. We've got so many responsibilities at work and at home. There's so many expectations that we put on ourselves and everything happening all around us in the world. And all of that can leave us feeling really weighted down. So if you're feeling burnt out, and you know deep down that something needs to change, you're going to love today's conversation as we show you how to banish burnout and reclaim your life. I'm your host, Linda Bucher, and if the life you're in no longer fits you, this space is for you because through my podcast and in my coaching work, I guide impact-driven humans like you to shed what no longer fits, to reconnect to your gifts and bring your life into alignment with who you are and what you want. And the reason that's so cool is because when that happens, you will be able to unleash what you were born to bring and create meaningful, lasting impact in your work, in your relationships, in your community. And if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. Okay, once again, today our topic is banish burnout and reclaim your life. And I have the pleasure of being joined by Michelle Scott. She is an executive coach and she's making her own beautiful ripples in this world. Michelle helps professionals to experience more peace, more love, and more joy, regardless of life stressors. Woo! So, Michelle, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, it's so nice to be here, Linda. I'm looking forward to this conversation about burnout. So
Yeah,
thanks for
I know.
inviting
Me
me.
too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So excited. We have such good things to share with our audience.
Yeah.
Before we do that, can you tell the audience a little bit more about what you do and who you serve?
Yes, I can. Mainly right now, I'm working with corporate folks, so C-suite and in different levels, actually. So often we're working on things like they they don't say burnout per se, but they might describe it as chaos, or it could be burnout, but it's or exhaustion, or just trying to find some white space on their calendar. So that's how it appears. And then, I just help them do some of the work to help them get there. So yeah.
That's beautiful. It's very beautiful and very much needed in today's world,
Mhm.
for sure. We definitely do a lot more than we ever have, and it just seems to be exponential. And there always seems to be more and more and more. And as the world moves so quickly, there's even more for us to know. So then we feel like we're behind if we don't even know more stuff. We're just doing and doing and doing and doing and doing, right? It's
We're
kind of
great
crazy.
doers. We are great doers for sure.
Yes, we are. So let's just talk about burnout. I know I've experienced it. I know you've experienced it. Can you share a little story about your experience with burnout?
Oh, happily. Well, because I call it my double burnout story. Yeah, let's not have double burnouts or more. Let's not have any actually. So, but mine is I was a professional, of course, first in corporate CPA, and lots of balls in the air to juggle. And sure enough, I did all the juggling and I burnt myself out. A lot of pushing, a lot of type A personality driven person. Then I retired from my professional career and I became a stay-at-home mother. Not that I thought it would be easier per se, but just different. And it was, of course, different. And then guess what? Uh, I burnt myself out because I was doing the same patterns, still pushing, still
Right.
busy, still all the things. Yes. So that's my little story.
Right. And you know what? The interesting thing to point out just real quickly is that the change of environment wasn't the answer. So that's just like a
That's
little
right.
put a pin in that for a minute, everybody. But that's a really big clue about what we're going to
Yeah.
talk about today. Um, so yeah, my burnout was, I've told this story on this podcast, other times. I was when I became a sudden single mom. My husband passed away in his sleep when my kids were little, so they were 3, 5, and 7. So I'm a sudden single mom, but I'm now and the only breadwinner now. So, and I had some, important job where I got to wear fancy suits and have my own very nice office, and I've started discovering that the work I was doing felt unimportant, even though I was really good at it and I used to love it. Like, what happened to me? Because it's the same work, right? So I was feeling really unfulfilled and I felt like I'm in the wrong place. I'm totally in the wrong place. And then, I'd come home to these, my three little children and, it's like you walk in the door at 6 o'clock, it's like, mom, 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 mom. There's three of them and one of me, mom, mom, mom. And that stopped by about 9:30 by the time I got them all into
Mhm.
bed. I'm like, okay, but there's dinner dishes to clean up and all this other stuff and
Mhm.
trying to make fun things for them to do on the weekend. So I was juggling all of that and my body started to break down. Emotionally, I was like feeling guilty for feeling like something was wrong in life, because you're kind of like, well, I kind of got it all, on paper. So it's, like it doesn't look too much different for either of us, and I think a lot of people
Right.
can relate when things that were meaningful feel meaningless. When you're like, can someone just stop this merry-go-round? I need to get off. And then I'd like you to talk a little bit about how when we're looking for joy, because that's what's missing, right? We're so busy doing that we're missing joy and peace. So like, what did you do to look for joy, to find joy?
Well, first of all, I didn't know I was looking for joy. It took a little bit of not a little bit, a lot actually. Well, you mentioned just for a second there, you mentioned that you maybe had a little bit of a physical breakdown. Well, that is actually what forced me to slow down.
Mm,
And by doing that slowdown, by being forced, that made me go inward and start looking at what was going on. Something I'm the same person in two different in my entire life, two different situations, and the same experience is happening.
right.
So that drove me to go inward. And then that's what I discovered is that it's an inside job. The answer to burnout is an inside job, not an outside job. I was going outside and that was not solving it. So that is,
Right.
yeah.
So doing more, like you were sharing with me earlier, you went skydiving, like, oh, I'm going to do this. It's going to be fun, right? And it was
Yes,
just another add-on, another do, right?
it
And
was. As
yeah,
that ripcord came out and I was coming down and I was looking at this amazing view after I had all the fear and adrenaline. But I was
right.
coming down and I literally spoke it out loud. I said, "Where is the joy?" Because I just wasn't feeling it. So
Right.
it was a really dramatic moment for me to realize what I'm talking
Right.
about right now and sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so really it's not about like going outside of yourself and it's not certainly not about more doing. That's the thing people make a mistake. And even thinking, like, oh, I'm just going to lay on the couch and watch TV and have a me day. If that's not the same as going within. So that is not the answer. And that's why audience members laying on the couch for a day doesn't fix your burnout, does it?
It does not fix your burnout. That is exactly right. That is self-care to some degree to slow down in that way. But the truth is that the patterns that are pushing and that are actually causing the burnout, that isn't changing those patterns. And
Right.
patterns are like you mentioned earlier, maybe the way we're thinking or the pushing or the just how we're being inside. That's what we're talking about here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Because we don't want to minimize self-care by any means.
right.
It really is important to keep ourselves in balance.
Hmm.
However, it's, laying on the couch because you're burnt out is just like, oh, well, here's a symptom. I'm just going to work on the symptom. And it doesn't work on the cause. The root cause of burnout comes from, let's just start with self-expectations, right? You mentioned you're a type A
Hmm.
personality. I feel like I used to be a type A personality and I'm really actually not. Maybe it was a learned behavior that I was supposed to be a type A.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hmm.
And because certainly now as my own boss, I'm so lenient. Like I could give myself a day off at a moment's notice
Yeah.
as long as I don't have a client. But yeah, let's just start with our self expectations, like how we
Hmm.
see ourselves and what we think we're supposed to be doing in this world. That's something inner to us. That's our thinking. That's our belief system. That's
Hmm.
where the problems lie in burnout. That's where the root of the causes. This is what we're talking about when we mean go within. We're talking about becoming aware of the thought patterns and beliefs that are keeping you in doing mode. right? I'm not
Yes,
enough. There isn't, and there isn't enough. Those are the main two. If you boil all the rest of it down in a
I
pot,
agree.
you come out
Yeah,
with I'm not enough and there's not enough. Two things, right?
definitely. Right. And something just popped in as you were saying that. I feel like we also are expecting our external environment to be different than it is often. And that was a lot of mine, wanting things to be different. And that based on my belief system or what I thought was, I don't know, whatever I thought it should be. So a lot of shoulds. If you notice shoulds, um, those are clues that there's something pushing and that
Right.
is not going to be serving you and can be a big contributor to any kind of exhaustion or burnout, that inner game. Yeah.
Yeah. And those external circumstances, Byron Katie calls that reality. And she says when you
Mhm.
argue with it, you lose, but only 100% of the time.
That's right. Exactly. And so
So,
that argument, though, that argument with it, that's where the pushing, or that's what I'm talking about, pressure or
yeah.
pushing coming from inside when I'm arguing with the reality.
Mhm.
That pressure point is when that's the burnout moment right there, the
Oh,
pushing
yeah.
on that, trying
Right.
to be different. Yeah.
Right. Because we really got to recognize what we're in control of and what we're not.
Exactly.
And when we say should having to do with circumstances or other people, we have zero control over what's happening with other in their minds, their actions, their words. We have zero control over what's happening in our at work, what's happening in the outer world. We
Hmm.
have zero control. And when we say that should be different or that shouldn't be like that or that should or they should, all we're doing is keeping ourselves emotionally in a powerless place and a negative place because we are powerless to change those things and we don't like to feel powerless, but we're focusing on something we have no power over. It's a very
Yeah.
negative place to be, and it can really make you see life as a not nice place to be. But you
Yeah.
and I know life is a wonderful place to be.
Yes,
But
it is.
we didn't used to know that.
No, I
We
did
know that
not. That's
now.
actually
And
it
I love that
takes.
you said it's an inside job. I've been telling my kids that since they were so little. They would like it's like mom's
Hmm.
quote, happiness is an inside job. Like,
That's funny. Did they get it?
Oh, they
they
totally
they
get
take
it.
it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
totally get
great.
it. One of
I
them
love it.
still forgets once in a while, but the other two, they get it.
Yeah, I think we're all working.
Yeah,
I'm still working on it too, even though I know a lot now.
right, right.
It's a
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how, right? How do
Hmm.
because we're promising people to be able to reclaim their life, to
Hmm.
banish burnout. So
Right.
we already mentioned burnout, it's happening from overdoing, and the overdoing is caused by what's inside you, what you're thinking and believing and expecting of you and expecting of the world outside of you.
Hmm.
So the answer to banishing burnout is to shift that, right?
Yes, that is the answer. Absolutely. Yes. And to start becoming aware. I mean, for me, I wasn't aware of what I'm talking to you about right
Right.
now
Mhm.
before I was aware of it.
Right. Yeah.
I was doing the behaviors and doing my life that way. And I thought that was normal. And I had no reason to really start to look inward until the health condition came up and forced it. But that's one of the reasons that we're talking right now. For me is I want to let's not do that. If I can save you time, so you don't have to have that experience, that's great. So, and once I become aware, though, like you're becoming whoever's listening to this right now, Linda, right? Like they're becoming aware right now, and
Yeah.
so this is a part of the journey. Is you hearing this and start to ask the question, oh, okay, how does this apply to me? Where am I pushing? Where am I expecting things to be different? And then I'm losing 100% of the time. Where am I wanting things to be different? And then I realizing that I can't control or trying to control things because control is actually one of my teachers calls that the master addiction. So all of
Yeah.
that's can be about control as well. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. 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 And so I love that you brought up awareness.
Hmm.
We don't need to be beating ourselves up or being mad at what we find.
That's
Just be
right.
aware, like, oh, I notice that I'm arguing with like what should or shouldn't be. And I
Hmm.
recognize that's a grasp for control. And the reason that we grasp at control is because we want to feel safe. So it's a
That's
part
right.
of that part of ourself that has the need to feel safe, which is in every single human. So if you can recognize I'm grasping at control because something feels unsafe, that's just your first piece of awareness. Like, and then you can ask yourself, okay, am I actually safe? Like, I like to look around and go, okay, the sky is not falling, the roof is
Mhm.
not falling. I have what I need. Luckily, I have enough food to eat. I have shelter, right? I
Yes.
have love in my heart, and I have people who love me. Like, I kind of think I have everything I need. Like
Yes.
I already have. So I don't need to be in that fear of there's not enough.
Right. But that's stopping, like you just said, taking the moment to actually stop and look around,
Yeah.
as you said, described, that's a tool. That's actually a skill to start
Mhm.
to develop, to feel, to let yourself see all the good, all the what you have, to feel that safety. That's a huge part of my journey has been creating that safety and knowing how to do that. And I've done a lot of that through nervous system work actually as
Right.
well. But I feel like what you just described as that's a great tool that someone could
Yes.
take away.
Yeah. That is absolutely a great tool. Do in this moment, do have everything I need in this moment
Yes,
because there's only this moment. That's all we got right now. It's just now,
exactly.
right?
Yes.
And I like to point out that life is a series of nows. That's all
Hmm.
it is. And when you look back at your life, you're going to look back at the culmination of all those little nows. So if in any given now you can choose to see it in a positive light, you can choose to say, I do have everything I need. Yeah, that person did that thing. However, I have everything I need.
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm okay. I'm safe, right?
Right.
When you can do that, then you can start um, reinterpreting other people's actions and the world outside world actions. Like I
Hmm.
might not understand it, but if that's the best they can do right now, I get it. There's sometimes the best I can do ain't so good either. You know, like I
Yeah.
get it. So well, we can put other things in a different perspective, shifting the perspective of how we see things. Once we notice, oh, I'm saying there should, that I'm judging, I'm thinking it should all be different. I
Right.
mean, wouldn't it be nice if that's a nice way to think, but it shouldn't be that, it's a
Right.
very negative way to think. And if you're thinking negative and you're focused on what's wrong, your life will feel like it was terrible and everything was always wrong. If you're choosing to focus on what's right, what's good, and that you're safe, when you look back, you'll experience your whole life differently. So we can start right now,
Yeah.
can't we?
We can. And I want to point out just the one little, as far as making this practical,
Mhm.
you could do a little scale before. So if you catch yourself
Mm.
in, I think that should be different. Do a little scale inside 0 to 10. What's the energy you have around that? How powerful is that? Is it really like that really should be different than that? We might say that's a 10, or just notice it's. I'd like it to be different, but it's not really a big deal because there's going to be a different energetic to it, and that
Mhm.
energetic is the burnout. The push
Yeah.
is what we're looking at. So before you do the tool Linda just described, which is look around. I do actually have enough. I have a chair. I have safe in this chair I'm sitting in. I have food actually right now, right here on my desk, literally next to my desk for when we're done. So I have water, I have the things I need. And then do another scale and see if that has shifted
Mm.
any of the energetic inside. And if you take the time to really notice, you'll notice that you will shift. It's kind of like we take the edge off of that wanting that thing to change. And that's the magic is taking that
Yeah.
edge off by making that shift. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I love that you mentioned the measurement. That's huge
Mm.
because when you measure before and after, you notice it's different, then you'll know this worked for you
That's
instead of just taking our word
exactly.
for it, right?
That's what I
So,
want is that
yes.
they know, your audience
All right.
knows
So,
that,
audience members,
oh,
you will experience this, right?
exactly.
Second of all, I love that you brought up the energy. When we're vibrating at a negative energy, that's not so good. We can't be our best in that
Hmm.
negative energy or even close to our best, right? We can only be the way that we don't even like that when we show up that way. We usually don't like how we show up when we're feeling so negative.
Hmm.
And also, it's attracting more of alike. Then we're all also going to only be focused on what else is wrong and what else is wrong and what else is wrong. So it's real
Yes.
contagious. And then it perpetuates that same negative energy, which is not going to be attracting the positive things in the world that we'd love to have, like peace, right? And
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
fulfillment, right? Those are
Yes.
things when we even say those words out loud, we feel good. We feel a different level of energy. So that's what I would say is notice how you feel differently when you choose your words differently. When, you say,
Yes.
even though that thing's happening, I can still find peace within me. I can still choose ease in the next 5 minutes of my life. I can still, right? Like find
Yes.
those positive things and say them out loud. It really does make a difference. And then you're vibrating at a better place where you can show up better when you're vibrating at a better place and you attract better things.
Absolutely. Remembering that this is the self, what we're talking about is the self-care that will actually change your life, not just laying on the sofa or watching the TV. And I'm not against that, by the way. I enjoy a good Netflix, or this or some other show, whatever. But this is what we're talking about right now is noticing actual shifts and actually paying attention to who you are and how what's going on
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
and then being consciously making a shift and
Hmm.
then noticing how that feels. See, that will benefit not only your body, but then
Hmm.
also when you go out into the world, you're going to be bringing that vibration or energy. And like with my team, my corporate folks I work with, they bring that into their teams. That's why this work works, the inner works, because
Hmm.
it's also impacting all of those around us as well, which is another big part of this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would say that reclaiming your life is a choice and it is within your power. And that's some pretty big takeaways to have. And if that's a choice, then banishing burnout is also a choice. And that's what we want to be choosing to do by realizing and recognizing just how much power we have and where that power lies and where it does
Yes.
not. Becoming aware of the feelings that we have because they're messengers. It's either a messenger of some stinking thinking we're having if it's a negative, right?
Hmm.
Or if it's more guttural, that something is a hell no. And and why would you
Yeah.
keep doing it if your gut's saying, that's not right? Um,
Right.
and if you notice you feel like you want to keep doing it, like you're going to keep doing it, there's that piece of awareness again. I wonder why. Just be curious. We don't need to judge what we're thinking. Just be
Yes.
curious. I remember when I was learning how to do this like 17 years ago, when I was becoming a coach, I was learning all about this stuff. Um, I wrote on little sticky notes, and I put them all over the house. And all it said was the one question: "Isn't that interesting?" And
Mm-hmm.
they were little prompts to say, where's my head right now? Where's my head
Yes.
right now? I might be like, oh, I got to, and the kids,
Hmm.
where's my head right now? And like, oh, isn't that interesting? So that was awareness without judgment. And that's a tiny little place to start. Do you
Yes.
have any little small place someone could start to start reclaiming their life and banishing burnout?
I mean, it's everybody has heard this in some form or fashion. It literally is simply stopping and taking a deep breath instead of continuing down the trail of whatever the thinking is or whatever the energy is. It's just because when we come to our body and notice our breath, even if it's just for one or two breaths, we are coming into the present moment. Our body helps us come into the present moment. So
Yeah.
that's why it helps in lots of ways. It oxygenates our body. I'm not a medical professional or a, but I know that it has benefits, physical benefits, right? Taking a deep breath. And it also helps slow us down and bring us to the present moment. Our body is here now in the present moment. So that's why
Right.
that works. Yeah.
Right. So being present in this moment, do I have
Yes.
everything I need?
Yes.
In this moment, can I take a nice deep breath and
Yep.
just be with that breath instead of thinking about something else? Go, oh, I got to breathe. It's another thing to do. It's not a thing to do.
You're going to
Right?
do it no matter what. This
Yeah, you're
is
breathing
doing
anyway. Slow it down.
exactly, that's
Yes.
going to happen. And this is called taking control of your life. This is called, I'm going to do it intentionally, just for a
Right.
few breaths to help my body reset or to help my thinking reset. But you're being really conscious about just for a moment. Okay. And then you have a clearer palette to move
Right.
forward. And
Right.
hopefully new ideas and possibilities can come in also
Oh,
if we're
they
not
will.
operating from stress. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, those are some nice small steps that we can leave our listener with. This has been such a great conversation, Michelle. I'm so excited that you were with us today. Do you
Yeah.
have anything that you'd like to share with our audience?
Oh gosh. kind of like last messages or anything.
Or
Okay.
just like, or something on your website or something that you'd
Yeah.
like to.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So I often talk about what we're talking about as presence. And so I have, how we're showing up and how we're being as we're out in the world. So all of the work and when you do that, when we're aware of our and become more present, that also helps with reducing burnout, right? Because we're
Mhm.
being here in the moment. So I have this free leadership quiz. It's not just for leadership, it's self-leadership, but it's a leadership presence quiz. And you can go on to my website, michellescottcoaching.com, and just take that little quiz. And what it'll do is there are 4 different archetypes that I've come up with that you might see yourself in. And with that, you'll have some awareness. And then there are also some nice little tools, some somatic tools of how you can work with your body and bring awareness to that. So just a simple little tool and fast. So you can grab that.
That's wonderful. That's really great. Okay, I will be sure to put the link to that into the show notes. Um, and I will share that I have a something on my website. It's called Success on Your Own Terms. It is a little ebook and workbook that will help you to reevaluate what definition of success you have been operating under, and then maybe to put it to the side. And this
Hmm.
workbook will help you to come up with your own personal definition that is reflective of the freedom, the fulfillment, and the life balance that would feel like you're reclaiming your life and beautiful instead of like burnout. So if you'd like to kind of
Yes.
get do a little self-discovery in those areas, then you can go on to my website, lindabucher.com, and then slash success, and you will find that free workbook and ebook. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that is our show. I'm Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth, to reconnect with their gifts, and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. And if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com. And if today's episode sparked something for you, please like it. And then don't forget to share it with someone who might need it. Oh, yeah. And subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Because you can join me next week. I'd love if you would for another expansive and uplifting conversation that's designed to support your growth. But until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.